There are very few Play Store games, especially offline ones, that truly become successful and gain popularity. But the truth is that the Play Store gives much more exposure to online games, and because of that, some really interesting offline games usually end up going unnoticed. In this video, we're going to take a look at some offline games that flew under the radar, so leave a like and let's get started. Imagine being trapped in a strange loop where you can't actually escape and you need to detect the smallest anomalies. Let's talk about the Exit 8. In this game, you play as a worker who, after entering a subway train, ends up trapped in a loop at Exit 8. Every time he turns left, he enters another room, but he always ends up back in the same place. To escape, you need to identify anomalies, things that are out of place. It could be a letter in the wrong position or even a character standing upside down. This game will probably make you want to throw your phone at the wall, but trust me, when you finally beat it, the satisfaction is huge. And the most surprising part is that many people don't even know it exists on Android. This one isn't originally available on the Play Store, but it's a port and without a doubt one of the best ones out there. Let's talk about the Simpsons Hit and Run. For those who don't know, this is basically the Simpsons version of GTA. Of course, the game has a story and it's pretty crazy, even involving aliens. But what the game is most remembered for is its open world. After the first mission, you can freely explore with Homer and do whatever you want. You can explore Springfield freely, drive dozens of vehicles, complete missions, talk to famous characters from the series, and find countless secrets scattered across the map. But of course, it still has its story and several things you can unlock. This one is pretty easy to find online. Well, this is a forgotten game that brings a strong console RPG experience. Let's talk about the UNREST age. The game is set in ancient Russia and you control a character who returns from war and discovers that he has lost everything he once had. After that, he sets out on a journey for revenge. The main highlight of the game is its exploration freedom. During the campaign, you travel through cities, villages, military forts, forests, and dungeons, meeting different characters who give you quests and influence the direction of the story. The combat system is also quite interesting, with a lot of RPG elements that allow you to customize your character the way you want. Even though it's not a very new game, it's definitely worth checking out. In this game, you play with a very ugly character. Let's talk now about a game called Ugly. In this game, your character is actually a prince, but for some reason he was cursed and born extremely ugly, as you can see. Now he needs to break this curse, and to do that, he must go through several different trials. You could say this game is a puzzle with a very well-made story. One of its best mechanics is the ability to create a shadow of your character, which allows you to plan most of the game's challenges. You really need to think a lot, and that is one of the main points of the game. It's a shame this game didn't get much success on PC either, but it's definitely worth playing. In this game, you are a Japanese worker, but not just any worker. You are hired to investigate a witch in an office. Let's talk about YUPPIE Psycho. You start off as a normal office employee, but you quickly begin to notice that something is wrong. The workers keep getting sick and nothing seems to go as expected until you discover that there is actually a witch cursing everything. And that's where the gameplay begins. You will need to talk to many characters and figure out exactly what is going on, while also investigating why the witch is doing all of this. The story mixes a very strong narrative with a lot of puzzles for you to solve, and this game is really surprising. Honestly, I've never really liked first-person RPGs that much. I always found them kind of strange, but this game here actually caught my attention. Let's talk about ELDORIA RPG. The game currently has around 1,000 downloads on the Play Store. It's a game that gives you a lot of freedom to shape your character exactly the way you want, including choosing your class. On top of that, as you've seen in the video, the game features an open world where you can explore as much as you can, but at the same time, it also has a linear story for those who prefer a more structured narrative. Honestly, this is a very well-made game and definitely worth checking out. Goat Simulator is pretty funny. What a lot of people don't know is that the third one, which was recently released on the Play Store, also now has a linear story. In this game, you control a goat that causes chaos everywhere it goes. It's like GTA, but much crazier. You can explore the map however you want, blow up cars, hit other people, and really do anything. The third one also has improved graphics and of course adds a lot more things for you to do. There are also several mods you can install on your phone, such as an RPG mode for this game. It's really amazing, and the truth is that whether for fun or for more serious gameplay, this game is very good. A child with some difficulties making friends ends up creating imaginary friends. But since this is a horror game, maybe they are not so imaginary after all. Let's talk about PSICOSIS. This is a 2D puzzle and horror game where you play as a child who has some trouble with social interaction. In the game, you go through different scenarios such as school and home, and you can see how lonely he feels, until eventually he starts to create some strange imaginary friends. You will discover a lot about this character and also help him overcome his situation. But don't think it's easy. There are many scares in this game along with a very good story. Let's talk now about a recently released dungeon crawler that didn't get much attention called Rusty Axe. The idea of the game is very simple, that you enter dungeons, evolve your character by killing monsters, and then repeat the process with a slightly stronger character. One of the things that caught my attention is that you can play with the 4 main characters, which are originally the game's classes. In other words, you don't just pick one character or one class, you can play with any of them. And of course, what stands out a lot is the customization. You can do many things at the same time while also facing a large number of enemies. Maybe the most famous game that recently came to Android, let's talk about Slime Rancher. And honestly, I don't even know what category to put this game in. Maybe you could call it a management game, since the idea is to collect slimes and gather resources from them. The main focus of the game is to collect slimes of the same type and take care of them like animals. But of course, the open world and the freedom it gives you make everything even more interesting. This game was very successful on PC and also received a port to Android. But to be honest, it's even hard to explain exactly what makes this game so good. Beholder is actually a well-known series of games, both on PC and also with Android ports. This is the latest one, and we're going to talk about Beholder Constructor. Just like in the other versions, in this game you take control of a character who is an important figure in the hierarchy of a large dictatorship. In this game you manage a train inspection. The interesting part of the game is that it gives you a lot of freedom to decide exactly what you want to do, so you can act strictly and support the oppressive dictatorship, or you can let certain things slide and even help destroy the dictatorship. It works somewhat like Life is Strange, but with a much more defined objective. It's really incredible that this game has only around 500 downloads on the Play Store. Now let's talk about a game called Blue Fire. If you like games like Hollow Knight, The Legend of Zelda, and even a bit of Dark Souls, there's a good chance Blue Fire will win you over. The game takes place in the Kingdom of Penumbra, a dark world that has been destroyed by an ancient corruption. The story is told in a very subtle way with few dialogues and a strong focus on environmental exploration. The biggest highlight of Blue Fire is its movement system. The character gains abilities like dash, double jump, and other techniques that make exploration extremely fluid. It's another game that honestly should have become very popular on Android, but for some reason it simply didn't. Imagine a strategy game but 2D where you need to slowly build your army and your base, and this game is called Civilizations Wars. The idea of the game is simply brilliant. You need to rebuild your base and protect yourself from enemy attacks, but the format is different. You play as a king who can move both left and right, and you need to use the coins you collect to make upgrades. The focus of the game is always recruiting more people and also improving both your attack and your defense. If this were an isometric strategy game, it might feel like a normal strategy title, but this camera perspective completely changes how you play. Another game on our list that has only around 500 downloads. Let's talk now about a tactical RPG called Crawl Tactics. The story is not the main focus. Instead of following a linear narrative, you build a group of mercenaries to explore dangerous dungeons. The game is not just a tactical RPG, but also includes roguelike elements where you can evolve your characters as you progress through the stages. Positioning really matters in this game, but of course having a well-balanced team is also one of the key factors. Another big highlight is customization. There are many different classes, equipment, and abilities, so you can build your team exactly the way you want. That kind of game that almost nobody even knows exists on the Play Store, an offline FPS. Let's talk now about Dungeon Shotter. This game actually has a pretty interesting story. You are a mercenary hired to take a group into a tomb. Once you arrive at the location, you end up getting trapped there, and not only that, all kinds of strange monsters start appearing, so the focus becomes survival. The game is theoretically very simple. You will face a lot of snakes, spiders, and skeletons, and you need to kill them all in order to escape the place. There are other characters as well, and also your pet, which helps you quite a bit. The game doesn't have much depth, but it's still a good offline FPS. This game was released very recently, so it's no surprise it hasn't become very popular yet. Even so, it's an incredible game with impressive graphics. Let's talk about Ashes of Paradise. You could say this is a Souls-like mainly because of the way it plays. In this game, you take control of a warrior who must restore balance to the world. The story is fairly generic, just like in most Souls-like games. The game focuses on a much more methodical combat system than a typical hack and slash. You need to attack at the right moment, dodge with precise timing, and of course make good use of parries. And one of the best parts of the game is definitely its bosses. They're extremely challenging, making this the kind of game that's rare to see on Android. It's a shame such a great title has gone so unnoticed. That's it for today's list. Hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next video.